Like I mentioned, free agency, it starts on March 16th. And last week we talked about which player should the Steelers re-sign. So I want to flip things around here
Okay.
too. Which players due to become free agent who aren't current Steelers should the Steelers pursue? And maybe the better way to ask this question, Ike, is you always talk about what it means to be a Steeler. Of all the players due to become free agents, which player, who is a Steeler out there, who would you like to see Pittsburgh go after this offseason?
Russell Wilson is a Steeler. And the reason why I say Russell Wilson is a Steeler is because he's held it down for the most part of his whole career. Going from one college to another college, to the Seattle Seahawks, to playing injured, to overcoming adversity, to not having the luxury of a true offensive line and still able to win Super Bowls, to not having the luxury of, let's say 3-4 years ago, not having the luxury of a true number one receiver and still overcoming and being successful. So letting Russ cook. And we came up with that concept. Let Russ cook, because can y'all see me? Oh, video.
We lost you for a second here. All right, we got you back, Ike.
We back. My mom, she got this new iPhone and she know how to FaceTime multiple people at one time. So now she just like a kid in the candy store now. So, but getting back to Russ, man, Russ just, in my mind, he's everything you're looking for in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Doesn't say too much, gets the job done, is a team player, and that's exactly what you want coming from Pittsburgh. So I think Aaron Rodgers would be the dream fit, but Russell Wilson is a Pittsburgh Steeler kind of fit. So that's what I think in my mind.
Okay, that's Ike. You took this in a totally different direction than I was expecting, but that's okay. Few things I want to clear up, Ike, and I got to push back a little bit for the sake of the show. One Super Bowl title with Russ. It should be two if they had given the ball to Marshawn Lynch many seasons ago. So he's been to multiple Super Bowls, but he's only won one. And then, look, I understand traditionally he hasn't had a number one receiver, but no love for my guy DK Metcalf, who's like a mutant. No love there as a number one receiver in Seattle.
Like when it comes down to taking pictures and showing some of his athletic ability and being mutated with his shirt off and all that good stuff, yeah. But you still got to put up numbers on the field, Mark.
Tyler Lockett doesn't do it for you either, Ike?
Lockett does it for me before DK Metcalf. I agree with that.
Okay.
Oh, 100%. He's been the most consistent receiver for the Seattle Seahawks than anybody over there. And before that, you can go to Baldwin. Baldwin was one of Russell Wilson's favorite as well when it came down to receivers. But now consistency, the hidden gem for the Seattle Seahawks. If you had to start a football team and you want to draft DK Metcalf or Lockett, you're going with Lockett. And it's just his consistency. You'll get caught up in how DK Metcalf, how he looks, his studness, and everything else. But we want to talk about being productive on the field consistently. Is Tyler Lockett.
All right, Ike, also, Russell Wilson not due to become a free agent. Yes, while there is an out with the Seahawks, they're not just going to let him walk, especially considering he'd have $26 million in dead cap money. But he has made it clear, and quarterbacks clearly care about their legacy, but he's made it clear that I think he wants out in Seattle. We even talked to the Bleav in Seahawks hosts, both Brett Davern and Lofa Tatupu, about this, about comments that Wilson has made where it's a little bit passive aggressive, but it has to be because clearly he cares about his legacy. And so we'll see what happens. I think that Wilson would garner a pretty high asking price via trade because, he is a stud quarterback. He's a tier one quarterback when he's right in this league. 33 years old as well, so still several years left, but he's under contract for the next 2 seasons with the Seahawks, even despite the fact that he has an out this offseason. Seahawks aren't just going to let him walk, especially considering we saw this last year when the Steelers beat the Seahawks without Wilson. Geno Smith can be a fine backup in this league, but there's a reason why Geno Smith's never been a full-time starter in the NFL.
Yeah, we'll see. Like you said, he got 2 years left, so I mean, Steelers got cap space. They'll readjust on some players if they need to. So they got action. They can pretty much hit whoever they want to hit, or touch whoever they want to touch when it comes to the free agency. So we'll see.
Who do you want me to go? Do you want me to go offense or defense? Because I've got several players listed here in my notes. What do you want from me here? Because I'll give you my 2 cents worth on who I'd like to see the Steelers go after.
Let's go on defense, Mark.
Okay, on defense, 2 guys I have my eye on. Number 1, you talk about shoring up the defensive tackle position. How about Akiem Hicks, who's due to become a free agent? Last 4 years with the Chicago Bears, he made an average of $12 million per season. Now, when he's on the field, he's one of the most dominant interior defensive linemen. The question with him would be, can he stay on the field? Because he's missed significant time in 2 of the last 3 seasons. If you gave him, say, a 2 or 3 year deal, make it very incentive laced to make sure that, we always talk about the best ability is availability. But if you could keep him fresh, bring him and pair him with a Cam Hayward, and then bring in a young stud rookie, say in the 2nd or 3rd round of the NFL draft, like you like to say, Ike, we got action.
Yeah. So if you going on defense, these are the 2 I'm going for. Because I got some cheese sitting in the bank with this cap. I'm going for Akiem Hicks because I think that's going to solidify. I'm drafting somebody young, probably the 3rd or 4th round at the D tackle position. And I'm signing Akiem Hicks to a 3-year deal. Like you said, center base. Now on the back end, I'm going for Stephon Gilmore. I'm going to see what Stephon Gilmore is talking about. I'm going to sign him to a 2 or 3-year deal, and I'm still going to draft another cornerback, try to groom him like an Ike Taylor. And I'm going to rock with Witherspoon sitting on the other side. That's exactly what I'm doing. Now that solidifies both the back end and the front end of the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And I'm going high. If I don't get a quarterback in the 1st round, I'm going high at the linebacker position, because that's exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers do. They go high on the defensive side, but when they do go high, just ask Devin Bush, just ask TJ Watt. We talking about 1st round draft picks. That's exactly what they do. So that's what I'm gonna do if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think Akiem Hicks will be a perfect fit. Stephon Gilmore will be a perfect fit, since we talking about the defensive side for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Few other names, J.C. Jackson, another cornerback out there, Charvarius Ward. You mentioned Gilmore. He was on my list. Carlton Davis as well. So the Steelers do have options at the cornerback position, considering Joe Hayden at 32 due to become an unrestricted free agent, as well as Akello Witherspoon, a player we would both like to see the Steelers re-sign in Witherspoon.
100%.
So that's on the defensive side. On the offensive side, I was looking at it. It was like, man, where do I go with offensive tackle? Whether it's Morgan Moses, Cam Robinson, or Terron Armstead. And Armstead's been one of the best left tackles for the Saints for the last several years, a 3-time Pro Bowler. Due to receive a huge payday. He's only 30 years old, so still several years of productive football left. Shoring up that offensive line, especially considering Chuks Okorafor, yet another Steelers player due to hit free agency.
Man, so the O-line, man, there's so many different. It's a lot of wants for what you really need for the Pittsburgh organization. That free agency part, if you're going to get a quarterback in the 1st round for Pittsburgh, you got to give him a partner. And what I mean by partner, you got to give him somebody who's going to be a security guard. So 2nd and 3rd round, you got to go offensive line. That's my personal opinion. If you're going to get your successful for a big bid in the draft, you got to – right now doing it for agency, I'm not really looking at offensive linemen to come in, really. For Pittsburgh, it's always, for the most part, been through the draft. And honestly, I don't think Pittsburgh offensive line was that bad. I just think Seven wasn't able to move like he once was, like he once could, and that hurted the offensive line. Really, that's what I really think. If you put a Russell Wilson behind that offensive line, the offensive line is not as bad as what you think it is. So the free agency part, I wouldn't really bank on money on that free agency part. I don't think the offensive line is that bad, Mark, to be honest with you. I really don't. I thought Seven just kind of handicapped the offensive line because of his mobility, of him not being mobile, is what I want to say. But you get anybody young with some fresh legs, the offensive line is not as bad as what we thought. I mean, you had a 1,000-yard running back. It can't be that bad. You didn't lead the league in sacks, and your quarterback wasn't that mobile. Cincinnati led the league in sacks, and their quarterback was mobile. So to have a 1,000-yard, rusher and Najee and not lead the league in sacks, even though your quarterback wasn't as mobile as he once was, I'm not changing too much on the offensive line. If I'm going to get something, it's going to be in the draft.
I hear what you're saying, Ike. Also, it's not just Okorafor to be a free agent. Trey Turner as well at the guard position too. So I do think that the line
bring both
just
of them
a little.
Back.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
We bring it. Yeah, we got to bring both of them back because they already been in the locker room, so they understand what it takes to be a Pittsburgh Steelers. So they're already groomed and ready. Bring both of them back. Now them two I'll bring back for sure when it comes down to the offensive side, especially on that offensive line, Mark.
As much as I want to see the Steelers find Big Ben's heir, if the Steelers feel that that's not available, Ike, I don't think there's anything wrong with drafting an offensive lineman in the first or second round, considering they haven't done that since David DeCastro in 2012, Ike. So I feel like I'm a broken record. I feel like I mentioned this, if not on every show you record, like every other show. It's a streak I would like to see come to an end in the 2022 draft.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I know when they do draft first-round offensive linemen, them guys wind up having shots and going to the Hall of Fame, so they know exactly what they're doing.